Welcome back to the Journey Podcast. I'm your co-host, Emma Jackson.
And I'm Jose.
And today we're going to talk about the most important numbers to know in your business and how that shifts depending on what stage of business you're actually in.
1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 plus.
Okay, so let's start by talking about anyone that's been in business. They're just in their first couple of years of business.
I've been in business
Yeah, you have?
for a couple of years now.
No, more than a couple of years. But talk about the first, this is so important because we were talking about setting up KPIs. We have businesses that are in their first couple of years with us. We have businesses that have been around 6, 10 plus years and are looking to revamp things. And what we realized was that you actually need to be looking at different things depending on what stage of the business are you in.
100%. Like, for example, for me, like 1 to 2, I'm really figuring out what streams of income are actually producing money. And then which streams of incomes I can start scaling depending on the cost metrics with those revenue streams.
Yeah, a lot of people
That's a mouthful.
like to a lot of people like to throw everything at the kitchen sink. We actually had a guest come in here recently, and her episode is killer, and she's an app developer, and she says she's built and launched her own apps, but she's also done that for other people. And she said the worst mistake you can make is trying to put every single feature in at once. And what that translates to for product and service-based businesses is when you try to do literally everything all at once. Like with Brokey, we talked about originally doing like a full hair care line with all these different kinds of products, and then it was like, no, we're just gonna do pomade. We're gonna do a few different SKUs. Because then within your first year or two, you can figure out what people really like and expand from there.
And let's dive in a little bit into that, right? So year number 1, you're really kind of hyper-focusing on how to attract clients, how to get clients into doors to try your products, to try your services. So you're doing a lot of different testing models, right? You're probably doing different campaigns for different type of platforms.
Event marketing,
Exactly.
You're engaging with the community.
But the reality is you're trying to figure out how to cap your costs at a certain metric so you can then maximize your growth, and then see if that formula you cultivated is actually replicable in different scenarios, right? And then you're also trying to figure out where the stream of attraction, right? So let's say website views, social media views, how many people are clicking, your conversion rates are very crucial for those streams of incomes. So then you can actually make the proper decision how to maximize that in the years 2 to 4 to come.
And it is a lot of data.
That was very technical.
But it's super important because basically the more complex, like the more product or service offerings you have, the harder it will be to keep up with. Because if you want to do it well within your first couple of years of business, simple stuff, right? You want to know what product or service is selling the most, what's selling the least, figuring out, and then you kind of get to dig into why that's happening.
Exactly. If you think about it, like you're buying stocks, right? You're kind of trading, right? You're always going to put like a stop loss, right? For example, if this product doesn't hit this number in sales by X amount of time, we got to cut it off because it's costing us more money than it is actually producing us, right? Making those decisions years 1 and 2, understanding, for example, what streams are bringing the revenue, right? For example, like if this line is bringing me revenue, is this service bringing me revenue? Understanding where the revenue, where the clients are coming from, what platforms, events, so digital advertising, whatever those platforms are, and then understanding what are you doing correctly.
It's so important to know those numbers so that you can double down on the things that are bringing you that return on investment and then cut out the stuff that's not. And that can be hard when you feel like you've put time into developing something. But it is wild to me how many businesses in their first couple of years, they're just looking at their overall gross. And they're saying, oh yeah, our sales are going up. Our sales are going up. This is great. And they're not looking. And what might happen is that you could still have a product or service that's losing you money. And there's a difference. Sometimes you have loss leaders that get people in the door. So they're maybe not making you much money. You might even lose a little bit. But once you get people in the door, you sell them this and this and this. That's different.
Yeah.
But if you have a product or service that's really and truly like not performing well, like cut that out early.
I think for me, years 1 and 2 has to be experimentation on how to attract clients to what products or services are we're offering.
Yeah.
Understanding that flow, that communication between those two things, right? How to get clients, and are the clients liking the products or services that we're providing? Years 2 to 4, it's more understanding, okay, I know this type of client is coming from this direction. I know they like this service. Now it's how do I make them a repeat customer? How do I bring them into subscription? And how do I scale this without blowing my costs, right?
And then in that 2 to 4 range, that's when we start telling people to start to understand your customer acquisition costs and the lifetime value. Because when you're just starting off, you have no idea what your lifetime value of a customer is.
Yeah.
But by years 2 to 4, you start to have enough data to see how often people are coming back and spending with you, you know, what the level is of drop off or how repeat customers you have. And then, yeah, just like you said, you can tweak and figure out what can we do to keep people coming back more often, to spend more money with us.
Yeah. So to recap, years 1 and 2, where are the clients coming to? Are they liking our service? Conversion rates, right?
Yeah.
2 to 4, how to actually retain those clients and actually maximize the revenue from those clients. And then the last 40 years is how to actually put a system in place where then your business can be automated and it's growing at a steady growth rate.
Ooh, what does that look like?
It can look like, it looks different for every type of business. For our particular industry, it's understanding, okay, here's our service that we're providing. Then for us is like, we know the conversion from our traffic. We know of the cost for our traffic. And it's like, how do we put an SOP together to make sure that the growth rate that we want to accomplish, maybe 10%, 15%, 20%, is slowly being growth together. And all the other variables are still being profitable as well. Don't know if I explained that fully correctly.
No, I think so. It's so really, and that, you know, after your 4th year, 6th year in business, you're really starting to nail down SOPs and KPIs for growth. Something that we see with a lot of, you know, medium-sized businesses that are experiencing this growth is if you can find a way to, as the business owner, get out of the weeds of your business. So that's when things are starting to be consistent. You understand what your customers really want. So now you can focus on building those processes and building a strong team around you that you can then slowly start to step away. And then you can think about other streams of income. You can think about how to expand your business and all of that. But you got to get your business to a solid footing first. And the truth is that takes time. I want to break down the workbook that we provide our clients just to talk about the kind of numbers that we found useful for businesses at like all different stages to be tracking.
The floor is yours, Ms. Jackson.
Well, I mean, it says the man who does all of the financial stuff for our clients.
So our workbook is kind of broken down by their goal metrics, right? Every single client has different goals, right? For example, a dental practice might be client let me see, a simple one would be new patients numbers, right? How to grow the new patients by X a period of time. A new client that we just onboarded, they want to be a 45 new patients month over month by the end of the year. So we break down exactly what that looks like, and not only how that looks like in just patients coming in the doors, but the value average of those patients coming into the doors.
Yep.
We also have to understand the cancellation rates for those patients, right?
Yep.
So for example, if we're scheduling 2 weeks out, what is our cancellation percentage of those actual clients potentially canceling? If it's 20%, we have to account for that in our projections, right? We start figuring those numbers out, and then we kind of work backwards. Say, hey, if your goal is to be at 45 patients, cancellation rate is X. So we need to start make sure that we're attracting X amount of numbers. And if the growth rate is at 20%, we need to multiply the exposure to make sure that the funnel, think about it like in a funnel sense, the funnel is really big. By the end of the funnel, we're getting the numbers we want to get to hit that 45%.
And what that looks like
for 45 clients at the end of the year.
Yeah, and what that looks like for product-based businesses is the same thing, but instead of cancellations, you have refunds, right? You have returns and refunds. So keeping track of those numbers. And also your biggest money makers, like your most products sold, and then your highest revenue products. Those are often different products. You make the highest revenue on this, but this product actually sells the most.
We go to seminars and conferences and like workshops.
Continuing education.
Yeah, continuing education. And we were at one this week, and the speaker was like, "Guys, business isn't hard. Like, come on, business isn't hard. It's just understanding what your client wants, and can you give it to them, right?" Same thing with our numbers. Math isn't hard in a sense when it comes to like business, right? It's just you're adding, subtracting, you're probably doing a little bit of multiplication, right? Yeah. But it's understanding the flow of what we want to achieve. For example, right? If we want to make $100,000 a year, how much money we need to be making each month, right? And what are we currently at, and what can we offer to our consumers to get us to that point? Yep. And it's very simple, right? It's a combination of understanding like our capabilities as a business, but also as like our R&D funds, right? To continue pushing the boundaries and exploring. And for us, our industry, we're very labor heavy, right? For us to make money, we usually have to hire more people to produce more, right? more contractors, more websites, more digital advertising, X, Y, and Z, right? So for us, that's our major cost. So we know if we want to grow, we need to hire more sales reps. We need to hire more people to help the back end, more account managers to make sure that the customer service is being there, because our major goal is client retention. And I'm super proud to say this. Our client retention is over almost 16 months.
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal
yeah,
for us.
Apparently. We just, it's good to also check the benchmarks so that you can see what kind of industry averages, because we didn't know. I mean, most marketing agencies, it's under a year, I think, that people stay.
7 to 8 months.
Yeah, 7 to 8 months. And we were like, like, okay, we're doing,
Yeah. Or like my barbershop. It was funny, like, I don't know what I was on the day. Me and Emma were just checking out conversion rates for our clients. I'm like, let's start with the barbershop because I own that business and I love that shop, right? And we found out the industry average for a barbershop is 2 to 6%. And we're constantly averaging over 13.66% for the barbershop, which is huge.
Wait, what did the math come out to? Because wasn't it like something like an extra $12,000 a month of profit on top once you take ad spend out or something like that?
I don't know, but I remember texting you, so let me look up the text message.
Because it was essentially, because that's the hardest thing I think for people is they hate spending money on ads or marketing, and they're like, I have clicks or not sales. And it's true. Like, you care about money in your pocket to actually grow your business. Everyone says this, like, well, obviously, if I'm going to get a return on investment, like, my ad spend will increase.
So we increased the clients in the shop with our conversion rate to about an extra 90 clients after everything's said and done.
This is like direct attribution, or as close as we can get,
So after everything's said and done and paying our our marketing fee, because the barbershop pays our own marketing fee and ad spends and stuff like that, the barbershop made over $6,000 thanks to us.
And is that in every month or?
That
was monthly. So
that's monthly.
Yeah.
So we're bringing, and we did an average out too for the quarter. The quarter we were averaging close to $9,000, right? Because some months you have more traffic, and we're in the barbershop business in the Chicagoland area, so weather does affect the traffic patterns.
For sure.
But to show that the growth, like this industry standard is 6%. We're at 13.5%. We know that we brought over $9,000 average in value in the quarter one to the barbershop. That's just an accomplishment. And then we convert that to like dental practices, and we convert that dental practices are 8 to 10%. We're above 14% in dental practices, so we're still killing the industry standard.
And I mean, depending on the type of business you have, those numbers can balloon really quickly, because you're talking about $30, $40 haircut versus a $2,000, $10,000 dental procedure. That starts to add up really fast.
I think for us, I know for a fact small business owners, because I was victim to this as well, right? We're so hyper-focusing on gross sales, and we're not hyper-focusing in the actual client acquisition cost and the value to that client acquisition cost. People estimate, I'm spending $2,000 or $3,000 on advertising or marketing. That's so much money. But when you actually break it down to the return on investment you're getting for that, you're paying pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, that's I think so important. I have only encountered a handful, under 5 clients over, dozens and dozens and dozens over the past couple of years that actually knew their customer acquisition cost. It is wild. And so that's just one of the most important numbers to know, so that you actually know how much you should be investing and getting back.
Fun fact, that number does change. So it's constantly monitoring that number.
Yeah, and then making an average. So
these are 2 podcasts I've been way too much passionate about.
Well, I don't think so. I think it's good for people to see that you have like the finance, and I would say financial literacy is a huge passion of yours, and it lines up so well with what we do, because at the end of the day, our job is to grow businesses, and we grow business. It's like growth through storytelling.
Exactly.
But that growth part can't happen. You cannot, what's our favorite saying? You cannot change what you do not measure. So step 1 is knowing your numbers. And if this content was helpful, you know what you got to do. You got to hit that subscribe button, share it with your friends and family. People can find value from this. We would love that. Drop us a comment down below. We'll see you next time.
Bye.